Your first responsibility in good requirements management is requirements elicitation. And we're going to give you the 411 on how it works. Requirements elicitation is the method for determining the needs of the customers and users in the project. This is a very important process, and it requires a collaborative effort between the development team and the client. Our new program helps to facilitate requirements elicitation, making it a straightforward process that allows you to easily organize and prioritize important information.
One thing to keep in mind about requirements elicitation is that it isn't necessarily just a matter of asking the customer what they want. You have to dig deeper than that, read between the lines, and learn to use your own expertise to understand what they truly need. It's sort of like when you take your broken down car to a mechanic. He doesn't ask you if you want to replace the parts or tighten that screw. All he has to know is that you need the car to run, and he'll figure out the rest. So when you're meeting with a client, don't just ask, what do you want? Instead ask, what do you need to do? That way your client will tell you what they ultimately need to accomplish, and you can help them find the best way to make that happen.
Let's say that we were hired to build an e-commerce website that sells drapes and blinds. We'll use this example throughout our training program. If we ask the client what they want, they might say that they want to display all their inventory on the home page, so people that come to the website can see what they offer. If we ask them what they need, we'd probably get a different answer. They would say that they want to sell as much as possible. They want their clients to get the right product and be happy with their purchase. They want to reduce the product return percentage, and etc.
That's right. Why is another important question to have in your arsenal. As the customer presents his requirements, don't be afraid to ask why when appropriate. Chances are it will help lead the development team and the client to a better understanding of both the problem and the solution.
In our example of the drape e-commerce website, the client might say that they need the website to be easy to use. We ask them why, and they say that they get a lot of product returns, and they would like to reduce the number of returns. We ask them, why do they get returns? Is it because people are not happy with the quality of their products? And they say that most of the returns are because of people buying the wrong products. So from this answer, we can conclude that we need to design the website in a way that enables customers to find the right product that fits their needs. Maybe we need to display a questionnaire on the home page to find out the customer's needs before we even show them the products.
Take care to learn as much as you can about the client's current processes. What don't they like about it now? What do they want to see improve? And don't just write down what they say and leave it at that. Create a conversation with your client with lots of give and take. Suggest ideas that come to you on the fly and get their feedback on those ideas.
You should review the full client vision, including future goals and tangential projects, and interview the client stakeholders to get the full set of requirements. There are often very important unstated needs that are uncovered and are essential for the project to meet its objectives. If these unstated goals are not uncovered, the result will be that the project meets the written requirements but is not successful. The client will be dissatisfied because it doesn't fit the full vision the client had but didn't clarify.
A good way to confirm that you really get what the client means is to write down the requirements and then repeat those requirements back for confirmation and to make sure they're correct. Ask more questions to clarify necessary data. Listen carefully to the speaker and then repeat, in your words, what you think they said. This allows the speaker to determine if you really understood or not. If something is missing, the speaker can further explain the point. Usually when people feel that the other side listens to them, it encourages them to share more details.
When taking requirements notes, make eye contact with the speaker. Don't multitask and do other things while listening to the speaker, and don't interrupt. Let the other side finish what they have to say. Clarify the points that you don't understand and ask for more details if needed. Summarize the conversation by organizing the key points and then playing them back for the speaker to hear. Sometimes you may feel like you need to ask slightly more personal questions to get to the heart of the matter. Of course, we're taught that it's rude to ask personal questions, but we find that people will talk all day long about their fears, their wants, and frustrations if they feel it will help them to get what they want.
If some requirements or client requests don't seem reasonable, you should question them. Something that might seem like a simple request from the client may be a huge commitment on your side. Clarify this to the client and consider the benefit of the request compared to the cost. Remember, in many cases, the client doesn't know what it required to develop a feature. This is why they hired you.
Identifying users is another significant component of requirements elicitation, and our program will make that process much easier. There are a few different types of users, and the ways in which they differ include how often they use the product, what features they use, which tasks they perform for their business processes, their level of experience and systems expertise, and their security levels or access privileges. It can be helpful to classify users based on these differences. Keep in mind, though, that some people may belong to more than one class.
In our example, there are several user groups. One group is our clients' customers who go to the website to buy drapes and blinds. Another group is on the website backend that is responsible for updating the website inventory, adding product description and photos, updating pricing, etc. A third group could be the delivery company that gets the orders from the website and ships over the products to the clients.
Also keep in mind that some users may not even be people. No, robots aren't taking over the world yet. I'm just referring to the fact that some applications or hardware components might be interacting with your system, and these could be considered their own class of users.
For example, search engines can be a user group of the e-commerce website. We need to take them under consideration when we design the pages so they get high search ranking on search engines. An automated billing system can also be a user group that is not human.
Other types of users to consider are indirect or secondary users. This group might not be using your application directly, but they might be accessing it through reports or other applications.
Think of as many user classes as you can and build your user class list. Look for groups that have similar needs. Those can be considered a major user class with several subclasses.
Once you have determined your user classes, you will want to find user representatives for each class that can provide the voice of the customer throughout the duration of the development process. We found that focus groups comprised of all types of users, both inexperienced and expert alike, are very helpful to the development cycle.
Use the following steps to identify and select useful set of user roles. First, brainstorm an initial set of user roles when you meet with a client. Each of the participants grabs a stack of cards from a pile placed in the middle of the table. Start with everyone writing role names on cards and then placing them on the table or pinning them on the wall. When a new role is placed, the author says the name of the new role and nothing else. Since this is a brainstorming session, there's no discussion of the cards or evaluation of the roles. Each person writes as many cards as they can think of. Keep going until the progress stalls and participants are having a hard time thinking up new roles. At this stage, you'll want to stick with identifying roles that represent a single user.
Now it's time to organize the roles. Cards are moved around on the wall so that their positions indicate the relationships between the roles. Overlapping roles are placed so that their cards overlap. If the roles overlap a little, overlap the cards a little. And if the roles overlap entirely, overlap the cards entirely.
After the roles have been grouped, try to consolidate and condense the roles. Start with cards that are entirely overlapping. The authors of those cards should describe what they meant by those role names. Decide if the roles are equivalent. If they are, they can be consolidated into a single role. You should rip up any role cards for roles that are unimportant to the success of the system. We don't need user roles for every conceivable user of the system, but we do need roles for the ones who can make or break the success of the project. After consolidating the cards, arrange them on the wall to show relationships between the roles.
Once you have consolidated roles and have a basic understanding of how the roles relate to each other, it's possible to model those roles by defining attributes to each one of them. A role attribute is a fact or piece of useful information about the users who fulfill it. Any information about the user roles that distinguishes one role from another may be used as a role attribute. Examples include 1. The user's expected business objectives as a result of using the software. 2. The frequency with which the user will use the system. 3. The user's level of experience with the domain. And 4. The user's level of proficiency with the software being developed.
Let's go back to the e-commerce website. One of the user groups is the customers who buy drapes. They can be male or female, usually between the ages of 28 and 60. We assume that their computer knowledge is very basic. We assume that they like to shop online. They pay by credit card, and they live in our distribution area.
Serving as an interface between the project's requirements analyst and the members of each user class are product champion. They are vital members of the user communities, collecting requirements from members of the user classes that they represent. Product champs should be enthusiastic supporters of the new system and have a deep understanding of its benefits and its inner workings.
In the event that you are working in a situation where the users are unknown or otherwise difficult to engage, you may have to hire consultants or experts to be surrogates for actual users.
With all of these requirements issues being dealt with, and so many different users and stakeholders in the mix, there are bound to be lots of questions and conflicts arising, right? That's why you must decide very early on in the project who your decision makers are for requirements issues. When no one's made responsible, then the decisions inevitably fall to the developers. And that really isn't ideal, since they don't always have the necessary experience, knowledge, and perspective to make the best business decisions. So make sure every group chooses a decision maker right away, and select people who are well informed on the issues.
For any project, there should always be at least one real user on the client's team, because real users are the ones who know they need the software to work. It's tempting to think that we know what the users want, but no matter how smart we are, and I know I'm very smart, the reality is that we can't always see the user's point of view. So we really do need their input. Of course, we know that sometimes it can be hard to get real users, in which case you need user proxies to represent them. The more user proxies you use, the better, since that makes it more likely that the system you create will meet the needs of a broader range of users.